I think it's also one of the great tragedies, and historians will have to look back at this period and deconstruct what happened because, and I can't say a perfect counterfactual, but I can tell you that the promise of Bitcoin was so high in 2013, 14, and 15 that had Bitcoin scaled, I think we might be living in a very different world today. The initial fork was a stopgap measure, and I think absolutely essential, but it also it was essential. But I think what happened to Bitcoin was one of the great calamities. We're now living in month 5 of a world lockdown, where tens of millions of jobs have been destroyed, where poverty is spreading all over the world economy among non-developed or non-first world societies, where children are going hungry, where governments have exercised unprecedented totalitarian powers, where churches have been shut, where theaters have been smashed, where arts have been destroyed, where people are being treated like animals all over the world, where we've seen unprecedented levels of psychological, cultural, economic, social devastation by these lockdowns, all in the name of controlling and mitigating a virus based on recommendations of a bunch of crazy cranks who have no idea what they're doing and will never pay the price for what they've done to our societies. And I think we have to ask the question, how did they get away with it? How did they get away with it now? And they could have never done this in the past. And I think ultimately this traces to a kind of hubristic pretensions of power and expertise that is fueled fundamentally by the central bank. And sure enough, this year we've seen the Federal Reserve used in ways that was never even intended or imagined by its founders, or even under the worst types of management of the 20th century. We've got the Fed now creating trillions in new money, actively involved in the securities industry and buying municipal bonds, doing anything possible to keep the economy afloat during times when human rights have been violated on a mass scale like none of us ever hoped to see. Why? If you want to dig deep enough and really understand why, I think you have to go back to the fact that the states have monopolized the printing press. It's the nationalization of money that's unleashed this hell on the world. So let me tie this up and say this. We live in times of great desperation, great sadness, great pessimism and horror at what's been done to the world. Where's the hope? Where's the sign of hope? Well, ultimately, the hope's got to come from within your heart, right? You have to believe. You have to believe that there's an answer, and ultimately, you have to protect yourself. You have to guard your own spirit and live as good a life as you have, regardless of the world around you. But politically, institutionally, economically speaking, I think the highest hopes we have is in a currency that's detached from the state, that the people can manage. Because if we achieve that, we drive a wall. We build a wall between the people who have done this to us, the state, its ruling class, and its managers who care nothing about your liberty or human rights or your fate at all. Anyone, really. They just care about their own power. We put up a wall between them and the life we want to live. So I think the struggle for a usable, widely distributed, networked, widely adopted private currency that lives on the internet in a decentralized way that can never be taken down by anybody, that has no single point of failure, that is a consumer-friendly commodity. That struggle for that is the struggle for life itself, for the good life itself, for human liberty. So this is not ultimately, my friends, I think about technology. It's not really about a fight between geeks on Twitter. It's not a fight over scaling. Yes, scaling is important, but it's not a fight over code. It's a fight over life itself. Let me conclude by saying the following. I hope you're in for the long term. I hope you're in for the long haul. Things are not going as quickly as we want, um, but BCH represents hope for the future. It does. Um, don't give up that hope. Future generations will thank you. Thank all of us for the work we're doing right now. And I will say this, um, we face a choice. You fight, uh, you use this currency, you promote it, you develop it, you protect it, you guard it. Why? Because we will not live in cages. Human beings are not meant to live that way, and we won't live that way. We will not be part of somebody else's dystopian novel. We will write the story of our own lives. A well-networked, beautiful cryptocurrency that is owned by the people and not the state is possibly the most important tool that we have in the struggle for human rights around the world today.